Welcome to today's workshop on Expected Parents Resources, offered by the Office of Work Life at the University of Kentucky. Our panelists joining us today are Ann Bassoni. She is a work-life connections therapist in the Office of Work Life. I'm Azetta Beatty. I'm the Work Life HR Manager. We have Gail Carble with us. She is the HR Manager in Benefits. We will have, well, maybe GT is joining us, but for sure we have Katie Cottarelli in the Faculty Advancement Office with us. We have Lindsay Powell, who is the FML Administrator in HR Leave Administration. So just to start us off, to give a quick overview of the services offered by the Office of Work Life. First of all, we want you to know that Work Life is here to assist employees as they are managing their work and life responsibilities. And we know that looks different for different people, and that's different depending on the different stages of your life even, or the stages of your family even. So we want to make sure that employees know that we are here to assist them as they are managing those different resources and different expectations and responsibilities. We also oversee the employee engagement survey that is offered through the university every couple of years. When you think about the services offered at the through the Office of Work Life, we offer counseling services through our Work Plus Life therapist team. We have 4 therapists. They offer 5 free sessions per fiscal year. Those sessions can be one-on-one, they can be family counseling. They also offer group workshops and different outreaches on campus to reach our employees where they are. We also have some additional tools on our website. And in order to schedule an appointment with the therapist, we do have an online scheduling system that you can access via our website. We also offer child care and parenting resources. And this workshop today, talking about Expected Parents Panel, is really a part of that umbrella of our services. We offer a service called Big Blue Family Care, which is a child care referral service, where we partner with UK students to offer child care services to our employees. We have a summer camps fair that we offer every spring, which is an opportunity for families to connect with different local and regional camps to learn more about their resources and their camps for the summer. We have lactation support and guidelines on our website that you can access and learn more about the expectations and requirements and the support offered to lactating parents. We have a Little Cat's Guide, which is a wonderful 10-page resource that combines the different information you need if you are an expecting parent or if you're planning. So in addition to that, we have lots of other parenting related resources on our website, as well as we have a Working Parents Network that meets monthly and via brown bag, as well as monthly meetings. When you think about elder care resources, we have an elder care consultant that is available to meet with our employees to talk about their elder care needs. Elder care ranges. It could be minimal involvement or engagement with your family. It could be you just do things such as check on them and maybe take them to the grocery store from time to time, maybe take them to doctor's appointments. It could be, kind of minimum, all the way up to you are providing care daily, or you're making sure someone goes and helps them, or maybe even move them in with you, or looking at long-term care facilities. So it really, really varies. But this consultant can help you with your resources that you need for elder care. And she also offers a monthly newsletter and blog. So I highly recommend, if anyone needs elder care resources, to join the listserv, because if you're on the listserv, you will receive upcoming information about upcoming events and activities and resources. Not only what we offer here at the university, but resources and activities and events that are offered in the community as well. In our Office of Work Life, we also oversee the flexible work arrangements on our campus. That includes the adjusted hours, the reduced seasonal hours, the remote work compressed week, and the more permanent reduced hours. And there's more information about this on the website. Lactation support. So transitioning into some of the resources we're going to talk about in today's session, talking about expected parents. When you talk about lactation support, for many parents, that is something that they are considering if they're considering nursing the baby when they once they have the child. So certain things you want to know about that. There is an option to get a free breast pump per pregnancy. Also, we highly encourage any person that's considering nursing their child to talk to their supervisor prior to leaving, just to indicate that that's something they're planning to do or thinking about doing. And then of course, when they come back, they're going to be talking to their supervisor about a pumping schedule, because you tend to know that a little bit better once the child is here. But just making sure you mention that that's something you're looking into, and you're even open to connect with our office to learn more about door signage and hang tag signs that we have, and different things that will support you when you come back. Also, I highly encourage people before they leave to go ahead and look into lactation spaces options on our campus. So before you leave, go out on leave, you want to go ahead and just see what lactation spaces are near you, and maybe even do a dry run of walking over to them and checking to see, is it one of those options where the door is unlocked all the time, or is it one of those options where you have to sign up and get a key from someone? So even just checking to some of that before you leave might be helpful, and it may lessen the stress when you return. But you can also do that when you return. Also, a person is welcome to use their personal office space or even some other space that's near them that may not be their office space that may work for them. There are some guidelines for official lactation rooms that we have to follow based on the federal government. And so the official lactation spaces on our campus do follow these guidelines. But again, someone is welcome to use their office space if that works for them. So when it comes to lactation support, we know the person needs basic privacy. You need a private space, you need a safe space, you need a space that you can just use yourself. You're going to need some breaks, and there's some guidelines on the breaks that are allotted on our website. And basic education and support. We are open to talk to supervisors if need be. If they have questions about how to support someone, we can talk to the employee as well. And then there's other support options, such as the Mommy and Me breastfeeding group, the Future Moms offered by Anthem, and some infant nursing classes.
Okay, my name is Lindsay Powell. Can everyone hear me okay? I think so. All right, so my name is Lindsay Powell, and I am the FMLA administrator for UK Healthcare. I am going to go over some important information that you need to know about family medical leave in reference to having a new baby and during the pregnancy and things like that. So family medical leave, as most employees know, allows an eligible employee to take up to 12 work weeks of leave in a 12-month period for a qualifying event. There are eligibility requirements in order to utilize family medical leave. You have to have worked at the university for 12 months, and that's a total of 12 months in the last 7 years. And then you have to have worked 1,250 hours in the last 12 months. So if you are an eligible employee, then FML can provide unpaid job protected leave, okay? And it's important that you understand that family medical leave is unpaid job protected leave, and then you are required to use your available accruals concurrently with FML in order to get paid. And those accruals are your TDL, which is temporary disability leave. It's also known as sick leave, sick time. Your TDL time, your vacation time, or your holiday time in order to get paid. You are required to use those until they're exhausted. You cannot elect to take family medical leave unpaid if you have available accruals to use. An important thing to note here is the TDL, which again is the sick leave or the temporary disability leave, and FML had a big change at the University of Kentucky as of January the 1st, 2020. And that change basically stated that there is no restriction on how and when you can use your accruals during your FML after the birth of a child or to bond with the child. Prior to January the 1st, you were only allowed to use your TDL or your sick time during the recovery period after the birth. But now you are able to use it if you have 12 full weeks of sick time saved up. You can use all 12 weeks instead of only being able to use it during the recovery period after the birth. So that's a piece of good information, a good update. And then another important thing to note is short-term disability is also a great option in order to get paid while you're out on family medical leave, but it is a third-party benefit and it doesn't affect how your accruals are used. So you can, you know, and Gail will talk about this in benefits in a little bit, I'm sure, but you know, you're welcome to reach out to benefits about the your short-term disability, but it's not going to affect the requirements of using all of your TDL, your vacation, or your holiday time while you're on FML. Next slide, thank you. Family medical leave, as I stated prior to this slide, is you can take up to 12 work weeks of leave for a qualifying event. And for the specifics for this meeting, of course, is for expectant parents. So these are some of the ways that you can use family medical leave during this process. So it does cover both male and female parents. We do get that question a lot. And it covers the birth of the child and to care for the newborn child. It also covers placement of a child with an employee, either through adoption or foster care. And then it covers the pregnancy and the prenatal care as well. So family medical leave can be used for any pregnancy illnesses like extreme morning sickness, if they are put on medical bed rest towards the end of the pregnancy. But in order for that to be covered, the healthcare provider does have to indicate that on the FML application. If they don't indicate that information, then if you are approved for family medical leave, there will be an intermittent FML that is approved for the physician appointments. For your pregnancy related appointments, prenatal care, and things like that. It is important to note that any FML that you take before the birth, it does take away from the total number of days and weeks that are available to you after the baby's born. So family medical leave provides a total of 12 work weeks in a 12-month period. So it's not 12 weeks per condition, or 12 weeks for the pregnancy and then 12 weeks to care, to recover. It is a total of 12 weeks. So anything that you use before the baby is born would take away from the total number of days or weeks that are available after the baby is born. So just some specifics about the family medical leave process. When it comes to pregnancy, prenatal care, and the birth of a child or the placement of a child, it's important that you submit your FML paperwork as soon as reasonably possible. So as soon as you find out and you feel safe about submitting that paperwork, we encourage that you go ahead and do that. It does need to be submitted no later than 30 days before the expected delivery of the baby. So that's important. That is per federal regulation. And it also gives, the department gives them a heads up, and it gives them enough time to start planning for your absence. Obviously, you would not know the actual birth date. So what you would use when you're submitting your FML paperwork in advance, you would use the estimated delivery date as the start date. And then in the end date blank, you would just put how many weeks you want to take off after the birth. So when we do that, of course, when we receive your FML application, I would calculate your eligibility, make sure that you're an eligible employee. And if you are, then a tentative approval will be issued. And that tentative approval is reflecting the estimated delivery date. So it's not an official approval with the actual dates, obviously, because the baby probably is not going to come on the estimated delivery date. But it is an approval. And once the baby is born, you need to reach out to your FML administrator with the actual date of birth. And I will create a new FML letter reflecting those actual dates. And you can send that email to the leave admin fmla@uky.edu. One other important thing that does need to be mentioned is that FML can only start on the hospitalization date, the date of birth, or the date of medical bed rest. So whichever one of those things caused the employee to miss work first, that is when you can start your family medical leave. An important thing to note, if your estimated delivery date, say, is May the 1st, and May the 1st comes and goes and there's still no baby, unless your healthcare provider has admitted you to the hospital or put you on medical bed rest, it's important that you know that your FML doesn't start on that tentative start date. It can only start on the hospitalization date, the date of birth, or the date of medical bed rest. Let's see, and I do see a question here. Where is the portal for the family medical leave paperwork? So really quickly, any FML paperwork, the most up-to-date form is always on our FMLA website. So if you go to uky.edu and type in FMLA in the search bar, it will bring you to our family medical leave page, and there are forms listed there. So it's not something that, it's not a portal where you can fill it out online and it's automatically submitted. It is a 4-page PDF form that you have to, print off, and you complete page 1 and your healthcare provider completes pages 2 and 3. So there's that. With family medical leave does also offer continuous, obviously, which would be the continuous amount of time to recover from the birth, and any continuous time after that. But it also can provide family medical leave coverage intermittently and as a phased return to work, which would also be a reduced schedule return. The intermittent FML, as we mentioned before, is available prior to the birth for all physician appointments and any pregnancy-related illnesses. As I said before, the pregnancy-related illnesses, we do require information from your healthcare provider that you have that, but it is definitely an FML qualifying event. And then if intermittent FML is needed after the birth, then a new FML application must be completed. And at that point, it would have to be completed by the child's pediatrician for, a serious health condition that the child has. The phased return to work is the reduced schedule return. It is that is something that's always up to department approval. So if you submit that request, for example, to return to work after the first 8 weeks, to return to work for 4 weeks as 3 days a week instead of 5, or 4 hours a day instead of 8, whatever the case may be. If you submit that request, I will first I have to reach out to the department to make sure that that is something that your position would support. And then if they do give the green light on that, then that would be considered, a pre-approved reduced schedule, and it would not allow call-ins. And again, an important thing to note with that is it would not allow call-ins unless you had intermittent FML for your child's chronic health condition.
Okay, so this is Katie Cardarelli from the Office for Faculty Advancement. The process that was outlined by Lindsay with regard to the FML paperwork is the same process for faculty. Where there are some differences between faculty and staff is when it comes to temporary disability leave, or TDL, and in particular, I'm talking about paid TDL. So if there are faculty that are on the call today, I would encourage you to visit the memo from the provost that was posted on our website in October of last year. This was an updated memo from a previous policy. The policy didn't change per se. We just tried to provide clarity around what our policy looks like for paid TDL for faculty who are having a child or adopting a child. So as I said, the main difference here is that faculty are not accruing their sick days as staff are, and there's no bank of sick days. And so for paid TDL for faculty, when it comes to birth, adoption, or guardianship of a child, again, we would ask that you complete the FML paperwork and send that forward. It reaches our office, and typically what is granted is 6 or 8 weeks of paid TDL, depending on the type of birth or event. And just like with staff, you would use your TDL and then any vacation days. So for example, if you have 6 or 8 weeks of paid TDL and you want to use the remainder of that, up to 12 weeks as prescribed with the federal law, then you can use your vacation leave. And then if you want to use, more than that, you would go on an unpaid status. One question that we get fairly often is, can I preserve my vacation days and go on unpaid leave, up to that 12 weeks? And the answer is no. Just as with staff, you have to use your vacation leave first. Okay, is that, I think, the next slide? So as I said, the FML paperwork process is really the same. I think Lindsay did a nice job of describing that. I will say that the other thing that's important when it comes to faculty is that faculty who are in a tenure eligible title series and are not tenured, we strongly encourage those faculty to apply for what we call probationary period delay. And those are automatically granted. Some faculty that, pause and worry about submitting that, we always encourage faculty to go ahead and apply for that. It doesn't mean that they necessarily have to wait an additional year to go up for promotion and tenure, but it's kind of like an insurance policy. So I went through that pretty quickly, but all of this information is found in that one memo that's on the OFA website, which I know Izetta has hyperlinked. And if anyone has questions about how all this works for faculty, you can contact me or you can contact GT Lineberry.
So, hi, this is Gail, and I work in benefits. For any of you who are contemplating a family medical leave or a leave, I would urge you to go ahead and contact our office. Everybody has a slight difference in their benefit package, and we can make arrangements with you to catch up your premium. And sometimes folks like to have it pulled prior to leaving. You will receive the health credit as long as if you're 0.75 FTE and you're on the family medical leave. So for up to that 12-week period, you'll receive the health credit towards the cost of your health coverage. So when I talk about premiums, I'm talking about the employee contribution that you make, your dental, vision, optional life insurance, if you have a flexible spending account. Those are the premiums I'm talking about. And then also you might be in the situation where you haven't been with UK for a year, so you're not eligible for the family medical leave. If that's the case, you definitely want to give us a call, because we can talk to you about how you can time your pay so that I know we can't all predict exactly when we're going to have the baby, but you can time it somewhat so that you know when you're going to receive the credit and when you're not. If you work just one day in the month, you'll receive the health credit. Next slide, please. My Strength is an online option, and basically it helps you manage stress, anxiety, depression, and I kind of have to giggle because I think it's kind of funny that they show it with a new parent. But of course, anytime there's change, and change, in your home with a new baby certainly adds on additional responsibilities, which in turn, usually kind of can add to the anxiety levels. My Strength is, they coined themselves as the 24/7 health club for your mind. So what's nice about it is that it is all online, and it's something you can log into. And you can find this at anthem.com/mystrengthky. Next slide, please. Anthem also offers a program called Future Moms. Future Moms provides individualized support to expectant moms to help them achieve healthier pregnancies. Actually, emergency room visits are 30% less for folks who go through Future Moms versus those who do not. And there's 25% less time for babies spent in NICU, comparing those who use the program versus those who do not. The program is staffed by RNs trained in obstetrical, I can't say that, care, you know what I'm talking about, provides support for high risk and non-high risk expectant mothers. So they also provide you ongoing educational materials. And one of the things they provide is your pregnancy week by week, where you can track your doctor appointments and your time during this very special time, and have it as a keepsake. Next slide. So there's also Live Health Online. This allows you to have appointments with a medical doctor, and these can be for either physical health or behavioral health. If it's a physical health appointment, there is no copay. So 0 copay, and that just started April 1st. And then or it might have started a couple weeks before that. And if it's behavioral health, the copay is $40. Those visits tend to be a little bit longer, closer to 45 minutes versus 10 minutes, which is the reason for the difference in the co-payments. Last but not least is MPM. Lindsay had talked about the short-term disability. This plan is available through our broker, MPM. It's a voluntary plan. You can sign up for this every year at open enrollment. If you do sign up, you have to have had the plan for 3 months prior to getting pregnant. So I believe it is, you have to have had the baby 12 months after first electing the plan or making the plan effective. The coverage is up to 60% of your base salary. If you were to leave employment at UK, that's what they mean by coverage is portable. You can take this plan with you. And there's 2 different plans that you can choose from. One has a 14-day elimination period and the other a 30-day. If you're taking this plan because you're thinking of planning a family, the 14 days is most likely what you'd want to look at. The plan continues coverage until your doctor, claims you as no longer needing TDL or sick time. So normally it's anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. So it's not the full 12 weeks that they write you off for bonding for the short-term disability payments. It's 6 to 8. So if you take the 14-day elimination period and you're allowed off as far as the doctor is concerned, I'm not allowed off, but allowed to collect benefits for 6 weeks, you would have 4 weeks of benefits because the first 14 days would be the elimination where you wouldn't receive a benefit, and then the benefit would kick in at 15 days. But as mentioned earlier, what is nice about it is that you do use your vacation and sick time concurrently with this benefit. So if you do have a bank of those days, you can actually be paid more for being off than you would receive while you were normally working. And if you want more information on that, Karen Miller's information is on the slide, and she is with the MPM group. Also, just a little note about life insurance. As your family grows, usually you need a little bit more life insurance in case something were to happen to you. Expenses for raising that child, college expenses, all kinds of expenses, as you probably are well aware of. UK provides you with an amount equal to 1 times your base salary, and then you can choose up to actually 8 times your base salary. But 3 times is guaranteed issue. If you're increasing your insurance amount, you will be asked to fill out a medical evidence of insurability form. And you can increase during open enrollment, which is right around the corner. That will begin April 29th. And at that time, if you increase, you'll get a questionnaire directly from our life insurance carrier, Aetna. And you would complete that, and they may ask you to have a physical. Don't be alarmed. If you answer yes to almost any of the questions, you're going to be asked to have a physical. And that's to approve that higher life insurance amount. If you, let's say you sign up for 3 times and you have 2 times, nothing's at jeopardy. So let's say for whatever reason you're not approved, you will remain at the 2 times optional life insurance amount. Okay.
Hello, this is Ann Bassoni. I am with the Work-Life Office and going to talk to you about the transition plan for when you leave to have your baby or take care of your baby and when you're getting ready to return. And there's a lot of planning that has to go into it, as you've heard from everybody else. But I got this information from reading things on the internet, but also from talking to my clients who have both been coworkers of people who've been on maternity or paternity leave, as well as those who have been on it. And these are some of the things I've heard. I've tried to incorporate here too. And one of the big ones that might be helpful to you, to your coworkers, to your bosses, to develop a leave transition plan, which means identifying your job responsibilities and what you do and who to contact and all that information, so that whoever is going to be responsible for your work while you're gone has that information. They shouldn't be calling you to get information, so the more that you can leave and prepare them for this transition, the easier it'll go and maybe create less resentment and tension. And that's something that you want to start talking to your boss early on, so that if there is some information or training that you need to give to a coworker, that you can do that. You also want to know what you'll need for your baby and figure out where you're getting it. If you're getting it from, friends or family that have kids, if you're buying it, it's always good to talk to other parents about what do you really need versus what does commercialism tell you that you should have. And then the other thing is I think that has been talked about some here is making sure that you have some self-care going on and that you have these community connections. And by that, we mean, know who else around you maybe is having a baby, is pregnant. You want to be in touch with other moms, because I'm not a parent, so all I can go on is information from others and over the years. And that is an important one, because, I think we're all finding right now that we are working remotely and working from home for the most part, is that, connection's important, and connection to our coworkers can be important. And when you have a baby, relationships can change. So you want to make sure you have some people to reach out to that are in your similar situation, or maybe just in front of you as far as having the baby and raising the baby. And then the other thing is the part about getting ready to return. And some of this I know I'll say, and you'll think, oh, no, no way, no way. Because, you know, usually you want all this time with your baby. You want to spend as much time before you have to go back to work with your baby. And some of the preparation of getting ready to return might mean doing some things like if you know, well, if you're breastfeeding, for instance, you might want to start pumping some extra time. You might want to have some in the freezer in case you need it in an emergency. If you're bottle feeding, you might want to let somebody else feed your baby so that the baby can get used to being fed by someone that is not you. So that when you are back to work, and whether they're going to daycare or to family care or something like that, they are not going to be so upset by that change. And then you want to practice your new routine. And this is the hard one, I think, for a lot of people. And I forgot to say that if you're breastfeeding, the suggestion is that about a month before you return to work, so not always a lot of time, that you want to start freezing some of your milk for emergencies. So, and then the practicing the new routine might be that you figure out, okay, when I go back to work, and if you're dropping the baby off at daycare or someone else's house, you want to do a practice run. What time are you going to have to leave? You want to leave at the time you're going to have to leave to see how much time it takes to get to the daycare or wherever you're taking your baby, and then how much time it will take to get to work and get in. So you want to have that idea so you're not rushing around. There's even a suggestion that, if possible, that you take your baby for a day before you have to go return to work, maybe a half day to whoever is going to be caring for your baby, and you leave the baby and, you know, go get a haircut, get manicure, pedicure, you know, get a nice shave, something like that. If you're a man, and do a little pampering so that when you go back to work, you feel better, at least physically, and how you're looking. And that'll give you some time to adjust. So then the other thing that most of you know, hormones are going to be like all over the place. And what is going to possibly happen is that, after the birth of your baby, there's a huge drop. There's like a 10% drop in hormone levels. And some women do experience depression. So be aware of the symptoms of postpartum depression and know that you are not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. But if you need support, please reach out to us at Work Life Connections or your friends so that we can get you through that period. It is not unusual, and that there's no shame in that. But also, you're going to be a lot more tired. Obviously, I think we all know that one. And with being tired, you're going to be a little more sensitive. So, you might find yourself crying more easily. You might find yourself more irritable. And that can really, for someone who maybe is not used to that, it can throw you off a little bit. So focus and concentration is going to be off a little bit. For some people, there's the feeling of guilt of having to leave your baby with someone else or have somebody else care for your baby and wanting to be there. And these are all normal. I think most parents will feel this guilt. Even those parents who are like, boy, I'm glad to be back at work, are going to experience some form of guilt. And these suggestions I have always thought were really helpful about some tips about integrating your world. And that means maybe a week or so before you return to work, take your baby into work if you feel comfortable with that, so that your coworkers see, okay, this is a new reality for you, and it also for them, and they can see where you've been, and it starts to bring those two worlds together. And in that way, it might also be the time to make sure you thank the coworkers who have covered for you, who have helped you, you might want to do that and at the same time bring in some extra clothing. Because one of the things that can happen if you are in a zone and you think of your baby, hormones release, and you might have some leakage and you want to have some extra clothes at work. And then starting time, a good suggestion is maybe to start back to work on a Thursday. That way you are closer to the weekend. You can kind of give things a test run to see how things are going. Does anything need to be tweaked or returned, or changed, not returned? And that way you're doing 2 days and then you have your weekend. And you also want to be talking to your supervisor about your lactation schedule. When are you going to pump? How is that going to look? What are you going to need? Where's the nearest places that, as you heard earlier, but have that idea down before you return. If it's possible, do a gradual return. If you can, maybe start half a day, or 3 days, something like that. I think Lindsay was talking about that too. But if that's possible, that would be a good suggestion of something to try. And I think the other thing is to recognize that life is going to be a little different. You might not get to do the after work activities, or maybe you're going to miss some of the lunchtime gatherings that people have, and it can feel a little bit alone. And that's why we really recommend having other mothers to support you. And the most important thing is that you will be okay. You will get this. If you can have an accurate expectation, so to speak, of you're going to be tired, there's going to be times probably you say to yourself, I want to quit, I don't want to do this, and try to work through that. This is a great time to just keep talking to the people around you who love and support you and understand, especially other mothers who have gone through, or other fathers who have gone through this change, and the tiredness and the fatigue and all the mental and emotional changes that go with it. And if you have questions, I have a list of some great resources, some great websites of information about returning to work and planning to return to work, because you want to be as ready as possible, because it's going to be a tough transition if you haven't done some preparation. And all of our therapists at Work Life Connections would be happy to talk to you about parenting, about coming back into the workforce, or even preparing, before you leave. And we're always here and always available to talk to you as much as possible. And right now we're doing all of our services via Zoom. Zoom is our new best friend. So if you need help, please reach out. Thank you.
So now on your screen, there's a quote from a new mom, Megan Lucy, who is an assistant dean for faculty resources in the College of Agriculture and Food Sciences. I'll leave that on the screen for people to read. But basically, in her message to parents, expectant moms, she's just saying that she utilized quite a few of the resources that we offer, some of the benefits we offer, such as the Anthem's Future Mom program. She also utilized the Office of Occupational Health and Safety to help her to adjust her workstation before having the baby. She also utilized other policies and kind of educated herself on what her options were as a mom to be. And so this is just a little quote from her, a little message from her that she offered to share on the behalf of the benefits that are offered by the university that she found very supportive. So thank you so much for joining us for this presentation. Hope you have a wonderful day.